evening and welcome to the January 7th, 2026 Queen Anne County Board of Education meeting. Can I please get a motion to resume open session?
I'd like to make a motion to resume open session.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pursuant to the general provisions, Article 3-305 and 3-104, the Board of Education of Queen Anne's County met in closed session to discuss the appointment, employment, assignment, promotion, discipline, demotion, compensation, removal, resignation, or performance evaluation of appointees, employees, or officials over whom this public body has jurisdiction, any other personal matter that affects one or more specific individuals, to protect the privacy or reputation of individuals concerning a matter not related to public business, to consult with counsel to obtain legal advice, and to conduct collective bargaining negotiations or consider matters that relate to the negotiations.
All right, 2.01, approval of agenda. Can I get a motion, please?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the January 7th agenda as presented.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can I get a motion for 2.02, approval of minutes for closed session of December 3rd and 2.03, December 3rd open session?
I would like to make a motion to approve the December 3rd open and closed session minutes.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, the fun part, the awards. Oh, I didn't freeze. I was going to say.
Good evening, everyone. So our first award for the night. Sorry, Miss Bent. Our first award tonight is our Energizer Bunny Award. This award is given to a staff member or volunteer who keeps on going. It is sponsored by Bayview Financial with Mr. Chip Brittingham and Mr. Wayne Humphreys. If they could join us at the front, please. Our winner this month was nominated by Mr. John Murdoch, Director of Transportation, and our Energizer Bunny Award winner is Mary Dawkins, Transportation Specialist. They can come up. About Mary, Mr. Murdoch says, Mary plays a key role in our day-to-day operation, and we are lucky to have someone like her on our team. Her hard work sets the groundwork for our entire team to successfully move forward with our mission to effectively, safely, and economically transport students. Mary's positive attitude, attention to detail, and ability to triage the need at the moment is a big reason for our department's success in keeping the wheels turning and students in the schools learning. No matter what the day brings, Mary always meets you with a smile, even if it is a "you are not going to believe this one" smile. Mary plays a huge role in spending long days creating and maintaining route sheets that provide transportation to over 7,400 students, and this stat is crazy, sending buses over the road for over 1.5 million miles a year in Queen Anne's County. When it comes to work ethic, Mary sets the bar for what you hope for in a team member. Watching her commitment to doing her job well with organized perfection is inspiring. It does not matter what the problem is. Mary always jumps in and does what needs to be done to complete the task. QACPS is a better system because they made the wise choice to hire Mary. I'm lucky and privileged to have her work alongside me on a daily basis. For all of these traits and more, I nominate her to receive the Energizer Bunny. Congratulations. Our next award is the Spirit Award, and it's presented to an individual who embodies the spirit of Queen Anne's County Public Schools, nominated this month by Miss Crystal Chambers, Mattapique Middle School Principal. If you'd like to come forward. And Mr. Joe Glenn, assistant principal here as well. And our Spirit Award winner for this month is Miss Heather Sindorf, if she could come forward. Mrs. Sindorf has taken over the position of media specialist with grace and no complaints. I appreciate Mrs. Sindorf always being so flexible and jumping in to help wherever she can. With a smile on her face, she goes above and beyond for her students and coworkers. I'm so thankful to be working with her again this year. She's a bright spot in each and every day. Mrs. Sindorf is always willing to help others, has a positive attitude, and has been a valuable addition to our team. Thanks for everything, Mrs. Sindorf, and kudos for helping support our Spanish class. Bien trabajo. I did have 5 years of Spanish. It's just been a while. There are also some very nice, kind words from colleagues here. I'm going to give you this paper so you can read all of them, all those nice words. I didn't notice the Spanish on that.
I know, that's right.
Thanks a lot. And our last award tonight is the Shining Star Award. The Shining Star Award is presented to individuals in our school system who shine. This award is nominated by Mr. Murdoch again, Director of Transportation, so if he could come back up. And we have 2 Shining Stars this month, Miss Gretchen Frazier, Driver Trainer, and Miss Brenda Brown, Transportation Dispatcher. If they could join us up here, please. The transportation office is in motion all the time. It's nonstop, constantly shifting environment, and this is on a normal day. It takes a special set of skills to be able to navigate this type of environment. We are incredibly lucky to have 2 people who help us keep drivers in the seat that keep our students in school. Ms. Frazier is a driver trainer and came to Queen Anne's County with a knack for training drivers to safely operate a school bus. Gretchen's position is responsible for training for our drivers and also the needs of our special needs transportation. It is an overwhelming position to maintain the program as well as observe and evaluate the drivers on the road. Ms. Brown is our transportation dispatcher who keeps track of the on-the-spot need of the buses on the road, as well as making sure all the buses have a driver and are on the road when they need to be. Not only the daily routes, but also the field and sports trips for all the schools. Not an easy task, communicating with schools, athletic directors, teachers, contractors, and drivers to make sure every trip gets where it needs to go. Keep in mind, a lot of these are not during business hours. Brenda has a gift to keep all the needs in her head and spit out solutions on the fly. Both of these ladies work incredibly well together, which makes them a dream team for our front office. Gretchen and Brenda both go above and beyond to do their job well and put a lot of free sweat equity into making the transportation for our students a successful operation. It is amazing to come across one employee that puts the system first and does what needs to be done to accomplish the goal. We are lucky to have an office full of them. Very nice. It is for all these traits and more that they were nominated for this award. Congrats.
Next up, we have board involvement. Would like to go first?
I'll go. This month I was able to attend the commissioners' meeting, myself and Ms. Bentway. It was a good discussion. We talked about the availability of internet throughout the entire county, how many homes don't have access to it, and it really helps us in the future look at virtual learning options and such. We also attended the CTE discussion with a couple of the commissioners, Dr. Kibler, Mr. Tully, President Capes, and representatives from the Chesapeake College. We all came together and had a CTE discussions I think there's a lot of good ideas, a lot of movement that could benefit both Chesapeake College as well as our school district in providing better CTE, or not better, but more availability of CTE programs and possibly moving into getting new equipment, larger spaces and such like that. Real quick, I wanted to send out a couple congrats since we have board involvement. Some of these things are pretty interesting and awesome. Congrats to, is it Silas Brobst of Kent Island Wrestling Team? He made the Athlete of the Month for the Shore Update. And then also wanted to give a Semper Fi shout out and send appreciation to a fellow Marine who's a teacher in our district, Mr. William Faust. He was selected for the Extra Yard for Teachers Grant, giving him an extra $1,000 for his classroom. And he was able to attend the Go Military Bowl with his family. So shout out to him and Semper Fi to him as well.
Very nice.
I'll go. I was able to attend the CTE discussion with Matt. It was very, a lot of good thoughts around the table, and the SMS Strings concert, which is always amazing, and to see, especially the fifth graders that have only been playing an instrument for a couple weeks, what they can get up there and do. It's amazing.
I'll go next. I was able to attend the roundtable conference with all of the leadership principals of all of Queen Anne's County, and it was a pleasure to go and hear all the needs of all the different schools, and from elementary, middle, and high school, and be part of that conversation. It was very eye-opening, and always look forward to attending. I was also able to attend the winter concert at Bayside Elementary. They did an amazing job. It was the gingerbread festival. There was all kinds of things going on. We had the band, the flutes, all the brand new flute players. I always think about their parents during that time of the year, learning that. But it was amazing to go and see. So aside from massive cases of strep and all the other things I think parents are dealing with, we were able to get out a couple times. So it was good.
Like Mr. Dreyer said, I attended the commissioners meeting, and it was a good meeting, learned some really good information. December was short, sweet, and I'm glad we're starting our new year.
We have our student board members, Mr. Adams and Mr. Mulchler.
We have a couple of quick updates and upcoming events to share with Queen Anne's County High School, the pride of the Eastern Shore. General updates from December. Thank you to Hartridge Cash for Class awards across the district. At QA, Mr. Herman and the Engineering Club are incredibly excited. 37 pieces of student artwork were entered into the Scholastic Arts Competition. We are excited to see how they do statewide and nationally. Upcoming events this January. QA travels to Kent Island for basketball next week. Obviously a big game for both high schools and their teams and students. This January and February, QA offers the 4th and 5th opportunities for students to earn their MVA driver's learner's permits on site at school. We are excited to announce that the first ever Skills USA local challenge coming soon to Queen Anne's County High School. 8 different CTE pathways will be represented and compete. Shout out to Miss Betsy Ricketts and Mr. Adam Tolley for making this possible. While it's hard to return from break, we are ready for a new semester and the final semester of high school for some of us seniors.
All right. So the month of January is a busy one since it's nearing the end of the first semester. The major upcoming events consist of schools being closed the 19th for Martin Luther King Day. The 21st and 22nd will be half days for finals. 27th will be the first day of the second semester. And then we'll be holding a pathway night the next day, which will provide information for helping students prepare for the next year's scheduling and such forth. And then the final event will be Student of the Month, which will be held in the morning of the 30th. That's everything for CAT.
December was short in terms of school days, but a lot of things going on. I was able to go to, I think it was 5 concerts, 5 winter concerts. So I had a lot of winter holiday music in my heart and head. And I tried to make sure that the events I went to were elementary and middle school, because the high schools have so many events, as you guys know, and so I'm there so much. So I really went to the other schools. It was great. Really talented students. It's fun. I got to congratulate 2 winner greeting card contest winners. That was really fun. I appreciate everybody and the parents at home that supported students in submitting cards. I'd also like to echo the comments at the Hertrick Cash for Class winners. We had multiple throughout the district, and that was a really fun day going around to the schools and congratulating teachers and seeing the excitement on students' faces and the teachers' faces, and it'll be fun to see what they do with that money. I do want to thank the Maryland State Retired School Personnel Association. I was able to attend a check presentation at Bayside Elementary School for a teacher that won a grant, classroom grant at that school. And I also went to the Queen Anne's County Retired School Personnel Association Christmas lunch and their meeting, and I was happy to be there. Mr. McNeil gave me 2 options. I had to either sing a duet with him or give a little speech. I don't mind hearing myself talk, so I chose the speech option, but I'll practice for next year, sir.
Very cool.
All right, next up we have citizen participation and public comment.
We ask all speakers to keep in mind the following guidelines. Speakers should sign the roster, including their telephone, number, and address. Comments should be limited to 3 minutes in length. Comments longer than 3 minutes should be submitted in writing. Statements to the board should relate to the matter of general policy over which a board has authority. Comments about the actions or statements of individual staff members are not appropriate for public comments and should be referred to the superintendent of schools or board president. If you have specific questions, the board will make sure an appropriate staff member responds to your question. The board respects your desire and right to convey your message freely, but asks as a courtesy to this board and our citizens that to show respect for all. First, we have Mr. McNeil.
The retirement group president still for a couple more years, or at least one more. Happy New Year to everybody, and I want to thank the superintendent for attending our luncheon and enjoying us in that. We're not going to hold you to the singing, but we'll work on that. It was a good idea, I think, for a lot of us who are retired. We still are concerned about what's going on in the schools and supporting the schools, the staff and the students. And Dr. Keebler shared the goals that he has and the board has, and I think that was real good information for our retirement group. We had some good comments after you left. They weren't talking behind your back, but they were really positive on that part. At that luncheon, in respect to supporting the schools, we completed a little over 200 bags of gloves and candy canes and pencils that we gave to the pre-K students throughout the county. And again, the students were real happy with that, and we were glad to do that. I appreciate also the openness that the board has with our retirement group. A lot of the counties do not have that relationship, and to me that's a sad thing. And I do appreciate it, and I hope that we can continue working with that. And again, Dr. Knoll, if there's anything that we need to give out to our retirees, we have a conduit through our email system. We'd be more than happy to do that if things come up and change and so forth. But we do appreciate that. And I know that being January, it's also the midst of the budget relationship between the commissioners and so forth. And we look forward to seeing how that all plays out as we go forward. Last comment, I appreciate what you were saying about the CTE programs. As a former principal of the high school, I know that that is extremely important. It doesn't seem to be as much with the college push, but we need good technicians. And I know of several young men and women, but the young men who have gone through specifically the welding program and are running their own businesses now, and they're only 22, 23 years old. And they're making over 6 figures in a year. And, you know, people say, well, college is what you need. We need good workers also, and I think that that's important for this board in this county to maintain that. So thank you very much for that. And Chesapeake College has always been great about supporting that. Thank you.
Is there anybody else that have any other comments? Ms. D'Onofrio?
Hello, apologies for coming in late. I'm trying to get back into the workforce and finding a way to manage that time. I actually just wanted to pop up with two kind of concerns. One is, and just questions, really. Oh, yes. Amanda D'Onofrio, Centerville. Yes. The first is about an agenda item about the social media policies for teachers and the changes that are going to go through. I noticed when reviewing that form, it's still the signature spot is still for Superintendent Salines, and some of the language in it is a little bit vague. And what concerns me, especially given our global political climate, is the language within it that says you should refrain from posting anything on social media that undermines essentially the board. And while I believe to an extent that's important, we need to be a little bit more clear on it, because Maryland is one of the states where teachers cannot protest as they do in other states by, you know, not coming in for work and things like that in order to get more pay equity or things like this that they might need. So they need to be able to verbalize things within that capacity. And over the past 2 years that I've been here, I've seen things like the issues with the RIFs, where I think the teachers should be able to speak on social media, and parents would want to support them in that. So it's important in that language that it's somewhat liberal, but not free range. It just didn't seem clear enough to me. And it also didn't seem clear what the ramifications are for them within that social media policy. And how those actions affect them. The other concerns I've had are, and I don't have kids of this age, but I've seen a lot of parents concerned about issues at the high school. And as a parent myself, I'm concerned about those. So given that, I want to know what kind of is being done for these high school students in terms of educating and supporting their mental, emotional needs, where we're having issues with, say, smoking in the bathrooms or things like that I saw, or other issues that those students are struggling with. Because when I was in high school, a lot of the things that we watched on these types of topics were like Dare, and they're very kind of cheesy, overly dramatic, and don't really connect to the student in the way that they should to form these relationships that they can support, that we do take them seriously where they're at psychologically in their brains if they don't feel that adults are actually listening to them or kind of taking them seriously, and we make it too childish. It kind of separates that gap. So what else can we do for the high school students to support them in these needs, whether it be programs or other things, and can any of it be done at this building or through partnership with the YMCA to get them support for those issues?
All right, that's it. Thank you.
Next up, we have our current board action items. 6.01 is our human resources report, which due to privacy reasons we discussed in closed session. Can I get a motion?
I'd like to make a motion for the board to approve the human resources report as presented.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, 6.02, non-public tuition payment.
So, board members, tonight we're bringing two non-public tuition payment placements to you for approval. We, again, for the same privacy issues, discuss the reasons behind the individual cases in closed session, and we're seeking approval tonight.
Can we get a motion?
I'd like to make a motion for the board, the Queen Anne's County Board of Education, to approve the non-public tuition for the Harbor School. Fiscal impact $33,948.16. Budget source FY26 unrestricted operating budget.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next up, we have 6.03, non-public tuition, High Road School. Go ahead. You go.
Say the
No,
same thing. Yeah, so again, the second non-public tuition payment for High Road School of Anne Arundel County, we spoke about in closed session for the privacy reasons of the student.
Can we get a motion?
I'd like to make a motion for the Queen Anne's County Board of Education to approve the non-public tuition for students at High Road School of Anne Arundel County. Fiscal impact $50,733. Budget source FY26 restricted and unrestricted operating budget.
I second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, next up, we have 6.04, Johnson Controls. Mr. Pinder?
Good evening, President Case, Dr. Kibler, board members, executive team. For the record, my name is Sid Pinder, Chief Operating Officer. I'm here before you tonight seeking approval of a contract between Johnson Controls Incorporated and Queen Anne's County Public Schools to provide a new trunk throughout Centerville Elementary School along with panel mounting integration to replace the site network engine, the network controllers, the VAV controllers, and the FCU univents to be able to operate the energy management system there. Just a little bit of background. This basically, we have the head end there. There was two companies, the issues that we had this summer of the two systems not talking together. This will be one system that communicates throughout so that we can actually have humidity control. We can have the air conditioning, the heat, working accordingly through the system. The amount of the contract is $72,553.41, and the budget source will be the MABE Risk Resource Community Grant, so that is where the funding will come from. Any questions?
Does not, we still have a capital plan for out years too, to replace the whole system. This is for right now, just to let the public and the board know.
Yep, we still have that in place. This will help us, actually, like I said, be able to control the on-off and actually control all of the exhaust fans that we currently turn on and off every day by a breaker.
Are we good? Can we get a motion?
I'd like to make a motion for the Queen Anne's County Board of Education to approve the contract with Josh Johnson Controls to provide materials and labor to replace the panel mounting integration, site network engine, network controllers, VAV controllers, and VCU unit vents to be able to operate the energy management system at Centerville Elementary School. Fiscal impact $72,553.41. Budget source MABE Risk Source Community Grant.
I second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
You're welcome, thank you. Next up, we have 6.05, policy approval, 410, employee use of social media. Dr. Kibler?
So, good evening again. So tonight I bring for you for proposed action, adopting the recommended changes to the employee use of social media policy. Ms. Dennis, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think before public comment tonight, we did not receive any public input on the proposed changes.
Anybody have any questions, comments? No? Can we get a motion?
I would like to make a motion for the board to approve policy 410, employee use of social media.
I second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, next up, we have Dr. Schreckengoss for 6.06, Board of Education policies to rescind.
Thank you. Good evening, President Capes, Dr. Kibler, members of the board and executive team. For the record, I'm Jennifer Schreckengost, Interim Assistant Superintendent, and I ask tonight for your consideration to rescind 3 existing policies. Policy number 428, Statement of Assignment, and policy 611, Courses and Workshops, are both policies that are included in our negotiated agreement under college courses and assignments and scheduling of classes. And policy number 414, employment of students, discusses how students would receive their work permits. And that is now done online through the Maryland Department of Labor, and schools are not involved in that practice any longer.
Any comments? Oh, can we get a motion?
I'd like to make a motion for the Queen Anne's County Board of Education to approve the rescinding of policies 414, 428, and 611, and any associated regulations.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next up, we have 6.07, Snow Day discussion, President's Day.
So unfortunately, even though we had, I think, almost 60 degrees today, in December, we did have 2 days we had to close for inclement weather. And in our school year calendar, we have 3 built-in snow days, like that are student days. So if you actually counted the student days in the calendar, you would see 183, because there's a built-in buffer in case we need to close any. But we also identify Martin Luther King Day and President's Day as potential inclement weather contingency days, because the state law allows us to do that and suggests that that can be used potentially. The guidance from the Maryland State Board of Education is that they are not going to approve anybody moving forward for the Martin Luther King Day, and we are beyond getting state board approval for that anyway. So I wanted to bring it up with you all tonight to make a decision if you would like to make a motion and vote to open school on President's Day, knowing that it's January 7th and we've already had 2 snow days. That's something that you all can do. We've had to do it, I believe, Mr. Pender, and anybody on the exec team, the last 2 years at least. So it's kind of become a trend, unfortunately. The state law does allow for it. If you'd like to do it, we also have, even though the state board already has our calendar, I would submit that you all approve this, and I would submit asking them to give final approval that we could be open. So it would still be pending their review, but they've already indicated that they are going to entertain those requests and make that happen at their January 27th meeting if districts need that. So what I would do is if you all would like to do that, and we can talk through all of the weather days we have in the calendar, but if you all would vote on that, since it is still pending the state board's final approval on the 27th, I would like to email our school community to tell them that you made that decision tonight and to prepare to have school on President's Day in February, pending final approval from the state board. This all follows what we've done the past few years, but it is new for a few of us on the board this year.
I'm looking at this calendar right now. I know we have built-in snow days. I just don't have it right in front of me. Which days are currently built in for snow days?
So what would happen is, if you go down and look at June, let's say we were in a school year where we had no snow at all, those last 3 half-days would basically shift back 3 days. So the last 3 days would end up being June 5th, 8th, and 9th. So if you count out snow days the whole way out, school days, there are actually 183 days there. And what we do is, once we get through the snow season, you all will have to vote on what the final day of school is. And if we had no snow, we would just pull those days back by 3. So right now, we've used 2 snow days already. So if we don't use President's Day, we would go to school on June 10th and 11th. The next snow day we had, if we had one, we would open on June 12th. And then if we had any snow days after that, up to 3, we would go into the June 15th, 16th, and 17th. And then we would have a discussion, if it went even more, if we would like to petition the state board to waive the 180-day requirement. So we would have to use those. We could use President's Day. We could use those 3 days in June. We would have to add 3 more days. And at that point, we could then ask for a waiver of the 180-day school requirement.
Everybody's thoughts?
What's that?
I said everybody's thoughts.
I'm sure everybody would not like to stick around in June.
Yeah.
When's the graduation? You have those days yet?
The 27th and 28th of May.
I'm not going to be in town, so it makes no difference to me. But I think about what, my kids won't be there anyway. I look at it from both sides. I look about people who've already made plans, and that would be unfortunate to miss school if in fact it was there. I also hear people equally express they don't want to be in school because they've got summer plans. It's like you can't make everybody happy. So my thought is I would err on the side of at least summer, trying to be out of school sooner. And I would be in favor of waiving, of trying to make being open on President's Day. Fully understanding that I'm not even going to be here, so it doesn't, that's my opinion. But I just feel like either way, you're not going to be able to make everybody happy. People are going to be upset. The public will be upset because they already have plans on the 16th, but to the same degree, they're going to be upset because they've got plans on the 15th of June. And it's the first week of January, and I don't foresee snow not happening, so I think we will eat those days up.
Correct.
That is my opinion.
That was my thought, is we've already used 2. You know, if
Right.
we use President's Day, that's only 2 more. And it's
So
first week of
it's,
January,
it's
so-
kind of, when I say it's a lose-lose, it's like there's going to be pushback on either decision we make, whether it is to keep it or not. So I'm going to err on the side of the fact that most people want their summer vacations because usually that's, so yeah, that's where I stand on that.
We have a motion?
Oh, sure. I'd like to make a motion to open school for President's Day. Yeah.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. So again, I think you all would agree that the right course of action here is I write a letter to the state explaining our plan, requesting to be open that day. I would like to give the public as much notice as possible for those that aren't watching tonight. So we'll get a letter out at some point this week just explaining that the board voted tonight to open school on President's Day. We'll be petitioning the state to make that happen, but everybody should go ahead and make plans. And then as soon as we have the final approval on January 27th, we'll tell them that it's.
Is it likely that they'll approve it?
Yes.
Okay.
But based on their guidance and what they just said, so like where we've had Martin Luther King Day for years identified as another potential inclement weather contingency day, we will not do that going forward based on their guidance. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have information items, 8.01, John Grove for student enrollment, 2025-26 presentation.
Executive team, members of the board. Tonight I bring you, or for the record, my name is John Groh. I'm the supervisor of accountability. Tonight I bring to you 2 presentations really. The first one being our student enrollment presentation for 25-26. And then following will be a presentation on our Maryland School Survey and District Climate Survey as well. Purpose of this enrollment report is to provide an overview of the student enrollment based on our September 30th count. We'll go over different ways to look at this data, also including our home instructed students as well as average class sizes. So if we get right into the data, this first one right here. So as we go through these slides also, you're going to see a lot of the same numbers coming up, a lot of the same data for each year, including the current year. This is just going to show a lot of different ways to see this. The first one you can see, we're at 7,115 students in the blue. Those are down about 40 students from last year. The number above that in the green would be our pre-K numbers. They're separated out. They're just different than our total count. If I go to this next one, you'll see this a little differently. Again, it's going to be a lot of the same type of numbers. As I go through this, there's going to be a lot of numbers through these slides, so if you want to interject, just call out. But on this one here, this one goes through for our state aid. So again, you'll see that 7,115 in the blue. And then if you look in that gray chart off to the right, you'll see it broken down into those different buckets that we're always talking about. So our total enrollment, which is 7,399, that includes the pre-K students. But then you'll see preschool and pre-K. So in the terminology that we use for MSDE, the preschool, that is our 3-year-old program. Pre-K would be our 4-year-olds, and then down to the full-time students is our K through 12. So that's where those numbers come from. This other chart will actually show going through every school and then across every single grade band as well, every grade. So you can actually see right down to the grade level for each school that equals that 7,399. Yes, sir.
I just wanted to point out on this one, if you look from first grade through 12th grade, or really in the elementary and middle level, you'll see the numbers in the mid 500s per grade level and the 476 number for kindergarten. Enrollment is down across the state. There has been a declining birth rate in the state of Maryland, and this kindergarten number is attributed to the declining birth rate in our district. We had 50 less babies born from in 2020 as compared to 2019. So the kids that are coming into kindergarten this year, and it's just interesting that we're down 40 students this year. You look at that kindergarten number and it corresponds right to that 2020 birth rate.
Thank you. Again, same numbers, just a different way of looking at it. This will go through just as elementary, then middle, then high, instead of just one big one spreadsheet. So again, just another way of seeing the same numbers. This will also break it down. The next 3 slides will break it down into the elementary, middle, and then high, just with some visuals to it, so you can kind of see the visuals of where some of those declines in numbers would be, or where we're actually like staying pretty stable. Here's the middle school. Again, you can look at it visually, or you can look over to the right in the chart, and then high school. When we break this down a little bit more and we go into ethnicity enrollment, you can see here also through the chart or through the visual is our Hispanic population continues to rise, and then across all other ethnicities you can kind of see the same, either being pretty steady and then white declining each year. Home instruction. This will show, again, the amount of students that are in home instruction, but also it's divided up into the 2 different ways that they could be home instructed. The first one in that gray chart where it says monitored by QACPS. So those are the students right there that, as it says, is monitored by our district. Or you can, parents can choose to go under the umbrella through MSDE, through the State Department. And there's 262 in that one also, making up 509 students that are currently home instructed.
Seems like a lot.
Yeah, and when I go to this next one, if you look at the, you can look at it by grade also. So as you see, like each one here, they stay sort of the same, but in certain grades you can see actually going up. And it's hard, like without going like student by student, really looking at that, are they choosing to go out into that and seeing the homeschool, or are they moving in already with the homeschool, which would count as that as well? So it's kind of hard to, like, without going and actually like seeking out each individual student, how that would actually come out. But it is up from last year.
Do we have an understanding why? What's the reasoning that it continually rises?
I can't really speak to it. I'm just looking at the numbers part of it right here. I would have to dig a little bit more to see how many new ones would be that were here last year and actually went out or actually came into the district, which would be something to look at.
Right.
So I could definitely dig into that a little bit more.
If there's a census or a poll.
Your question was, why are they doing homeschooling?
Correct. Like, what is?
Is there an exit poll, like when people leave the school system, do they take like, do they ask why?
No.
There's no data collection?
And often we don't necessarily know. They don't show up the next year.
Understood.
Just curious, because if it's something that they're not happy with the school district, or they have different values that they want to, different ideas or whatever, if it's something that we could know and look forward, like forward think on fixing or understanding the problem, and if it's something like that, then we could possibly pull some of them students back in. If it's something that we're not doing, where they're not happy with, whatever it might be, I was just wondering if there was data on that so that we could, as a school district, try to remedy those situations to bring the students back, or if it might be them just, like I said, religious reasons, or parents not working now and they can homeschool, whatever it might be, different things. But if it's something we're doing wrong, then we should be able to look into trying to fix that situation if they're willing to come back.
So, yeah, there's nothing specific that I would have. The only thing that I would have was, which is what would come up next, is in our actual surveys from the state, and then the one that we give, and kind of, you know, trying to infer between the lines a little bit, but not directly from the sources.
I mean, it's no secret, public education is getting attacked across the country, locally in the state as well, but it's not a secret that here in Queen Anne's County, over the past several years, we've had tough budget times and have had to increase class sizes, also took some resources out of schools to balance the budget in the way of math and reading specialists and tutors, and I'm sure that plays a role too. And I'm looking forward to our budget talks in the coming weeks, and some ideas we have to try to bring some of that stuff back.
Speaking of class sizes, I have that here as well. Trending here by grade bands, K to 5, then 6 to 8, and then high school. Elementary staying the same at 23, and then middle and high going up by 1 up to 22. The next one actually breaks that down by grade level also, except for in high school, it's hard to do. For high schools, we put that into subjects, but you can see there also, just by grade level, where that goes through, being around that 23 to 24 mark right there. Any questions? So again, those are the enrollment numbers that we're going off of for all the buckets that we speak of all the time. And then going into the next one, which is our survey results. The first one that you're going to see is based on the Maryland School Survey. This was taken last school year. So what is the Maryland School Survey? So this is actually part of our accountability system. It runs approximately up to 10 points for your accountability score or percentage for each school, and then for the county. Not all students, I say that up to 10 because not all schools will have the full amount of points, because only 5th through 11th graders will take this. So our schools that don't have 5th graders, they won't have the full amount of points, but they'll have the points for their instructional staff that take it. So again, 5th through 11th, and then instructional staff will take this. You can see how many questions right there. They take 53 questions, and once you get to high school, 54, and then instructors are 72 different questions. All those questions are in 4 different domains. They're asked on safety, environment, engagement, and relationships. When we get to our district one, you'll definitely see like the similarity between those also. We like to dig a little bit more so that we can get it right from our staff as well. So going into those, every single one of those questions is a strongly agree, disagree, or strongly disagree. So that's where those points will come from. As you look at the averages that I have for you, like for the county, the higher, like it'll go from a 0 to a 10, like greater than 9. The higher the number, the more favorable the results would be. So for example, in the first part of the safety domain, if you look at this, On this side, on the left-hand side, you'll have the students. On the right-hand side, you'll have the instructional staff, and then the average scores right next to that. The important part of this is understanding how they're asking a lot of these questions. If you're just looking at the topic name and then the averages, it's kind of hard to put the words behind that. So, for example, the very first one, physical safety, whether students feel safe at school, and then if you go over to the instructional side, changes a little bit more on how the staff actually feels, where they feel are there frequent physical conflicts, vandalism, and so forth. It's a little bit different as you go down through the different domains, but if you look to the left on the score averages, you can actually see the last 4 years where that would be on a scale right there. So,
Can you remind me in the time of year that they took this last year?
sure. Oh, I think I skipped that, didn't I?
I don't know.
Skip that? I didn't even go on
You
that.
mentioned that it was last year. I just didn't. It's March, Dr. Schurkengast?
I believe so.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry, I thought I had that in there. Yes, it's in March. We'll be having that, we'll be getting trained on that in February, and then they'll take that in March. It actually opens up in the end of February, but we give it in March, yes.
Are those safety domain questions from the students, aren't those numbers alarming? That's pretty low.
Yeah, that's what I thought of, five. Like, the kids
Right.
don't feel safe.
They're not feeling safe, they're worried about things, anxiety kicks in, emotional distress kicks in, they're not learning. That just, we talk about mental health a ton in this world these days. If they're not feeling safe, and you got all the way down 2023, I know that's a couple years ago, 3.69, and now you're at 4.36, those numbers are alarming. Even, they're not even 7 or 8, where I'd still say that's decent work, but.
So I can say one thing that Dr. Schreckengoss and Mr. Groh are doing is going around to the schools and meeting with leadership team and talking about the Maryland report card in general. And Mr. Groh and Dr. Schreckengoss are talking about this survey as well, and making sure that folks understand what it means and how it relates to our school improvement plans as well. And I know our principals are trying to take these results because of the things you're saying, Mr. Dreyer, and talking to students to try to get feedback on why are we seeing this? What does, if the student body is responding this way, what does that mean for us? And so we have intentionally put this as part of the school improvement planning process so that we can try to do something about it instead of just giving the survey every year and looking at the results, so that we can try to not only just improve the scores here, but improve the student experience and trying to make them, in this case, feel more safe at school. Dr. Schreckengoss, did I do that justice?
Yes.
Thank you.
And I would repeat what Mr. Groh had said. The title, the category is not as indicative of the specifics that the individual questions can get into. And there is a website where you can go to see individual questions that fall under each, and that gives us more information as well.
I'm tracking, but it's, what I'm saying is it says, to which a student feels safe at school. I mean, if that's one of those questions and it's come back at a 4 or 5, like, that's a pretty direct question. You feel safe at school, and if you're saying 4 or 5, like, that's alarming. Like, that's a big deal for our students. It shouldn't be a 4 or 5. That should be a 9. I understand, like, there's a lot of folks that come to me outside. There's a lot of bullying going on. There's a lot of things going on. I've had discussions with Dr. Kibler about that with certain incidents. There's a lot of that going on. And unfortunately, sometimes it takes place and adults or teachers or staff don't see it because it's behind closed doors in a bathroom, recess, gym, whatever. So sometimes the staff is oblivious to what's going on, not purposely. But if that's the case, I understand students don't want to talk to staff a lot about it, but that's something, there's something going on here. If we're seeing, I know the staff questions are a little bit different, but there's a big difference here. And to me, school safety is a priority, to provide an environment for the students to be able to learn and not feel threatened or feel unsafe, especially for parents. Having students as parents, like, that's the last thing I want to see is my kid having issues or come home and have a mental distress from feeling unsafe from people bullying them at school or whatever. So I don't know if that's something we need to look into, have a discussion with our principals, and kind of maybe get down on the ground level, because that's, it's unsatisfactory numbers right there. Right.
With our leadership teams and our principals have been like really good conversations. Like Dr. Kibler was saying, a lot of times we just give these surveys, look at the results, we put it in our plans, and we kind of move on. But we've really dug into it way more than I have before this year. The conversations have been really good. When we take these, I take the actual numbers from the actual school. We look at their school numbers versus what the county's is. But we look at their individual schools, asked a lot of the same questions, all of them, so that we could see what kind of trends we have, and then what could we do to actually dig a little bit deeper? Because you think about our students, so our fifth graders start taking this. When they're taking this, they're answering strongly agree, okay. Let's go back to the basics here. Do we know how to answer that correctly also? Do we know the difference of that? So that was one thing that we talked about. Another thing is, when they take this, it is a reading test also. Let's practice taking this and what this actually means. What are these categories that we're taking? What do these words actually mean right here? Are we answering stuff that we don't understand? So we're actually going into a lot of those type of things and being a little bit more proactive so that they can give a more accurate response also. Not saying that it's not accurate. I'm just saying we want to make sure that it's accurate also.
Yeah. So moving forward, I don't know if the rest of the board would agree, but when you look at this and you guys are diving deep and trying to figure out a course of action, can we have updates on that course of action, what the plans are and what we're doing to move forward so it's not just being, cool, we got these results, put it in a file and nobody looks at it again. Can we get an update on this course of action? Not just the safety, but I mean, there's other scenarios in here that got alarming numbers too.
Right. Yeah, absolutely, because they're being included right into their school improvement plans.
Okay, because it's not just us. I'm sure parents out there in the communities curious on what's being done to fix some of these situations as well.
Absolutely, and I pulled up the next one right there. That one includes the bullying. So you can see the numbers right there. And again, that's to the degree which students feel students are teased, picked on, bullied, and that's like what they feel in their school. Substance abuse is on there also, but when they're asking about substance abuse, they're asking, do you believe that other students like yourself and other students, do they think that it's okay to use, tobacco, alcohol, drugs in school? And then on the other side, instructional staff, do we have the adequate resources and supports to address a lot of these things? So that's how they're asking those questions and scoring those.
And these are, it's not broken down between 5th and 11th, everybody's lumped together, right? So,
Correct.
Okay.
That's why it's important when we go to the school and actually bring the school numbers to it.
9th through 11th and 5th, 6th, 7th, because I'm sure there's, even like you said, at the 5th grade level, do they even know what they're reading? Do they even know what they're saying? Yes, no, strongly disagree?
Right, and that's what we were talking with the principals about. I'm like, before we take this, we need to really kind of understand this and prep them about what this actually means before you answer them. Yeah.
Do you have those numbers broke down from high school and then 5th or 8th grade?
Yeah.
Can we?
It's all publicly accessible too.
Yes.
So we have our own records of it, but it's all.
Yeah, and
in
it's
the
all
Maryland
on
report card as well.
MD report card. Everything's on there. I just wanted to bring the entire counties here today. Yeah.
But I would go back to one of the priorities I shared, one of my priorities I shared at the beginning of the year, which is as long as I'm in this seat or working at education, it's going to be student achievement. And one of the things that I felt was really important was a renewed centralized focus on the school improvement plan. We're putting a lot of weight on this and tying the school improvement plan to our strategic plan, which has that engagement piece in it. And this survey is a part of that, and working with our principals to not just take this and say, oh man, it's pulling my Maryland report card score down. That doesn't matter at the end of the day. What matters then is going and doing some focus groups with students in your building to figure out why are they answering it this way. Some of it is going to be, I don't understand what the question's asking me, but a lot of it's going to be, why do you feel like that's the answer? Even if you don't understand, why did you still feel like that's the answer you wanted to give? And I think that's important to work with the teaching staff and the professional staff in our buildings, but also working with those groups of students to learn more and see what we can do about it. And so this is the first year since, in my time with that sort of renewed centralized approach to the school improvement plan or process, it's been happening in the schools, but I'm hoping to see meaningful change, not just with the survey, but student achievement in general.
Absolutely. Just switch this over to the community domain. So here we're talking about respect for diversity, and then participation and engagement. How much you are participating in school, after school, and then whether we're feeling like we're treated fairly and respected. And you can see those numbers. In environment, we're talking about behavioral and academic supports, and then the actual physical environment and how we feel the school is kept clean, comfortable, and in good repair. And then also we're talking more about like the social emotional at the top for the behavioral and academic supports.
These numbers are bad. Just pointing that out.
What'd you say?
These numbers are bad. I think we all know the situation. We have the capital improvement plan and such, but yeah, that's bad.
What kind of questions do they, I know you said they're available, like for the physical environment, what kind of questions do they ask? Basically, what these say here as far as like the school being kept clean, is it comfortable, like repair, like is there more to break it down?
I have to pull that back up to actually see that, but basically like are they comfortable in school? Like is your school clean? Like it's very just basic like statements. Here's your relationship domain. I'm sorry.
Finding the item banks online right now.
Okay.
Send them to you all as PDFs so that you can look at it another time.
Okay, thank you.
They don't get asked every question. We don't know exactly which questions are. There's a couple hundred that are randomly chosen.
And is it this, do they do the same ones every year, or do they change up the questions?
I think they're roughly the same, but the item bank that's posted is changed every year.
Okay.
But they're similar from year to year, and then they're randomly chosen from the bank.
And then the relationship domain, so they're talking about student-to-student relationships and then the student-to-staff relationships. And again, you can see those differences.
And you might have shared this, I just remember, these first started in 2022, that's the beginning of this data? Or like that was the first time they took these?
No, it goes back, this just goes,
Just trying to show.
I'm just
last
trying to
few
show.
That's fine.
I'm just trying to show a trend, like just from the last few years.
I'm curious how this data would look
Prior to cell phones?
before cell phones and social media. Anyway, like to the degree that kids are involved in it, because I do think that when it comes to the relationship domains, in forms of bullying and just inner friendships, I'm just curious what that was. I don't even know how far back they'd have to go, but I was just, where my mind's at.
There weren't phones.
Yeah, right. That's what I said when we were in high school.
And then the last domain was for instructional feedback, and that one's only given to the instructional staff, and that's just on the quality of feedback that they're getting.
So some of these scores that are a little bit lower for staff, is that part of going school to school and having that discussion with staff? Because I mean, staff's more open to students to get back some feedback.
So if we're seeing like lower ones, at a certain building, we're looking at what kind of feedback we're doing. I know we're constantly talking about those in our meetings with Dr. Schreckengoss on just our walkthroughs and what kind of feedback we're giving our teachers instead of, trying to increase that so that we can get feedback going back and forth. And like Dr. Kibler said also, this is all public. You can see the counties, you can see it by school also. Just go to mdreportcard.org and you can pull up our county, you can pull up other counties, you can pull up the state, you can see everything on there. That's also what I've been doing. I've been going to a few schools to their staff meetings and just making sure that our staffs also understand when you are going to these sites what these calculations are, what they mean, and what's actually available that you can use. Okay. So if I go past this, this will go to our climate survey then. This is the one that our district gives out. We gave this one out. Again, the purpose of this is to gather a greater pulse throughout the district for the current year also. We give this in November, so we gave this, we left it open for 2 weeks in November. There were 56% response rate. Last year was 65, and the year before that was 55, so it's kind of back to where it was in 22, 23 for a response rate. As we're doing this, we're also collecting based on the bargaining unit of our employee, the level at which they work, and then the length of service that they're there. Again, we use the 5-point Likert scale. We just have the one in the middle for a 3, whether you agree or disagree, just because sometimes it doesn't really apply. And then our categories are climate and culture, feelings and perception of employees' own work, leadership, and communication. So along the same lines as the Maryland School Survey, but a little bit more specific for our district so we can understand a little bit more. There's 3 different respondent profiles here. So the first one is just by our bargaining units. So how many of each kind of unit. This really helps us as we start looking through this also so that we can see the different types of how each different employee is answering the questions. So here you can see like the different levels of high school, middle, and elementary, and those that are multiple buildings. And then the respondent of how many years, years from 1 to 3 years, 4 to 10, and then 11 plus years. So that can also help as you're looking at these questions, how they're answering those for how long that they've been teaching. Overall climate results, in the middle of the blue, written in white right there, you can see the 24-25. That was the average score for the previous year, and then on the outside is the new one. So for communication, up a little bit from 3.66 to 3.8. These are just the overall averages, and you can look at those 3.69 to 396. 09 to 16, and then down a little bit from 4.08 to 4.04. These are broken down. You're going to see a lot of data coming up here too, so I'm going to kind of go through this. This is something that we do with our schools as well. So you'll see like this is the same thing that I just talked about. So you'll see the bargaining unit down here and how they scored in each one of those categories for an overall. And then we actually go through and break it down even further down to the specific questions that we've asked. So I can show you what those look like also. This does the same thing for the middle, for the high, middle, multi, and elementary. So again, these we also have these by school, so when we go out there, we're able to talk with the actual leadership teams about this. And then the same thing by years of service. So again, like you can look at how they're answering by climate and culture, what the leadership, communication, and their own work, and how that correlates to years of service in different ways. So, for example, for climate and culture questions, these are the types of questions that are in there that they're answering that Likert scale on. You know, whether it's a positive climate, the culture of the building, belonging, support. So those type of questions, that's what they're answering for these. And again, we take this with our, executive team looks at this, our C&I groups, our curriculum groups, everyone goes through this so that we can understand exactly where we are with these. One thing that we talked about is maybe separating out the support a little bit also, because when we look at this, we see that one's a little bit lower sometimes, but that a lot of times is because it's a different type of communication. It's not really going into the same type of questions. Sometimes it doesn't apply.
Again, about adding a non-applicable option next year.
Yeah.
To get a better feel.
So,
I mean, I'm encouraged, frankly, that after a couple years of downturn in general, there's a uptick in the numbers here. It's nothing crazy increase, but trying to get a pulse. It's in the right direction, which is good. Again, that was roughly the beginning of November, 2 weeks.
Yeah, employees' own work, again, there's a lot of the statements that they're answering about their feedback. Again, a lot of things that are kind of similar to the other survey, but we can actually break it down a little bit more just for us. And then again, there's a lot of data that goes along with this, but we spend a lot of time looking at that and how it correlates between the two of them also. So we can go back and look at the state one versus ours. Here's the leadership questions. And like Dr. Kibler said, a lot of this being very, very, similar and actually up a little bit from previous years. I know this is a lot to look at, but
I mean, I'll say it, the biggest jump is in the leadership category. I'm happy to see that we had a big turnover in our school administrative staff from last year. This year, we talked about that for months now. So to see that those numbers go up there are very encouraging. And it would encourage the entire leadership team to be visible, be present, be seen at all levels of leadership, and make sure that we're talking to each other, working together, solve problems, and I'm hopeful that's why we're seeing that reflected in that.
that's, I put the next steps are right here. Again, a lot of this is used within those school improvement plans to improve those and make them a lot more intentional to what we're looking at. Our SSIC, we'll see all this. Our administration and supervisor meetings, everyone will have these discussions, as well as those leveled principal meetings. Those have been very, very, very good discussions.
I will say
so
we do
far.
not allow those to be sliced and diced any more granular than what you see there, and that's to encourage the participation so that employees don't feel like they're going to be targeted or anything like that. If we started to break down by those years of service, those bargaining units, and your school, there would be a definite fear of us knowing who are writing, and I'm not going to run that risk. So that's why I actually designed this survey 4 years ago, I think. That's why we made that. That's the one downside to this survey compared to the Maryland school survey. I like the questions better in this one, and we're getting the responses right now almost close to live as we're living it, but we don't have it down to the school level.
Part is like the communication part from here to the principals down to even just talking about to the kids about a lot of this also is just increasing as well. So again, going in the right direction. That's all I had, unless there's any other questions.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Next up, we have 8.03, first read, policy 260 with Mr. Barraclough.
Good evening, President Capes, Vice President Dreyer, board members, executive team, Superintendent Kibler. For the record, my name is Darryl Barraclough. I'm the Supervisor of School Facilities and Design. Before you this evening is the first read for policy selection of architects and engineers for public school construction. This is actually a new policy. It does not have any revisions or anything like that, so it is a brand new policy. We do not have a current policy for the hiring of architects and engineers, so the policy that would govern that is our general procurement policy, where we would interview architects, and by the terms of that policy, we would be required to obtain 3 quotes, monetary quotes from those architects that were then selected as the top 3, or minimum of 3. We would select pricing from that, and then we would be bound to go with whoever the lowest quoted design cost was. So what this policy does is it allows a more quality-based selection process where architects are brought in. They're solicited first. We would put out a solicitation in the public media. It would go out in eMaryland Marketplace, be advertised for several weeks. Architects would then submit a statement of qualifications, which would provide their SS 254, 255 forms, as well as a lot of other information based on prior Maryland K through 12 public school performance, examples of their work, who their consultants might be, and all of this is spelled out in the request for qualifications packages. It's very detailed. The requirements are all spelled out in there on what's required. It even gets down into the minutia of how many pages they're allowed to provide for each one of these. And what the process does is it basically provides the ability for us to employ the best services available in a fair and equitable manner. And through that process, it's very different from a general contractor standpoint, where you have a fixed set of documents that are already prepared. You have drawings, you have specifications. When you're hiring an architecture firm, things are much more fluid in nature. They're given basically the program, which is the educational specification, and it's pretty much a open drawing board for them to kind of come up with a design that is going to best fulfill our needs. So what this allows us to do is hear what their ideas are through this selection process at the interview time, and it allows a team of review people to complete a rubric, score each of the individuals, and then we would sit down, shortlist them, and then we would negotiate with the top scoring firm to negotiate a fee. One of the things that, a few of the things that's important to point out, on these larger scale projects, this would be for projects where the fee exceeds $50,000, which what we're trying to do is get this in front of the Centerville Middle School project, for example. To put that fee in perspective, that fee is going to be about a $5 million architectural fee. So obviously that's well above the $50,000 threshold. And with that $5 million design fee, there is participation at the state level at our current funding percentage, so it would be a 50-50 split with the state on those design parts. A lot of the things that you will see through the regulation are definitions and a lot of technical terms like Facility Condition Index, or FCI. What we're trying to do is align that policy and regulation with a lot of the terms and things that are in it's recognized at the state level when it comes to funding projects. The other thing to point out with this is that this selection process, a QBS process or quality-based selection process, does align with the Maryland state procurement requirements, so we are permitted to do selection this way. So like I say, this is the first read for this, and I'm open for any questions or comments.
I don't have anything.
I don't have any questions.
Okay, very good. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up we have 8.04, Dr. Schreckengast, elementary grading and regulation discussion.
Thank you. Hello again. I would like to update our progress on the elementary grading regulation. The last time I spoke with you about this, I shared that we had developed a committee that was well represented from each school and variety of grades and contents. We had surveyed both teachers and parents about their preference to operating under trimesters or quarters and letter grades versus standards-based grading in 4th and 5th grades. At that time, I had shared the vast majority had supported quarterly grading aligned with middle and high school, and also letter grades in 4th and 5th. So you will have access to a redlined copy of the regulation. We understand throughout the spring, we'll be designing new progress reports for all grades, all elementary grades, to accommodate new standards, but also to move toward perhaps a more accessible final product for parents. So we acknowledge that the regulation may change along the way, but I do just want to run through some of the major suggestions that have come to play here in this regulation. So very quickly, we'll see the definition of summative assessment. We found that some of the assessments listed are no longer given, so we crossed those and wrote common district assessments, which would encompass all of those. Anytime there's a mention of trimesters, we have shifted that wording to 4 quarters or quarterly. When the language about diagnostic assessments was listed there, we thought it was important to mention that diagnostic assessments should not be factored into a student's grade, though parents should be made aware of a student's progress or results on those assessments. It was believed that the 4-3-2, 2+, 2-1 system was a little too complex, so the recommendation for those grades that will continue with standards-based grading is to have a continuum of 1, 2, or 3, or not assessed at this time, with 1 being beginning to develop proficiency, 2 developing, and then 3 established proficiency. Also, 4th and 5th grades, we would grade with an A is a 90 to 100%, B 80 to 89, et cetera, as it is in other grades, in middle and high school. You'll note then a chart that outlines the categories in which students in 4th and 5th grade would be evaluated, but then also the number of assignments per quarter, with more assignments required for English and math than in science and social studies due to basically the seat time that elementary students are given in those content areas. Also, the lowest grade recorded for any assignment is a 50. Not me. There I am. I'm back. Thank you. The lowest grade recorded for any assignment is a 50. There's a lot of controversy about that, but we acknowledge that in middle school it's 40, and in high school it's a 0. So we felt that it would not make a lot of sense to go 0, 40, 0. So that is that recommendation there. When we get to promotions and retentions, we know that there are promotion and retention policies that are appropriate for different grade levels. So the language here is that we would comply with whatever those were. We get down to reporting. Under interim reports, we just changed the order of the sentence. It was important to the teachers on the committee that it be clear that if there was a concern about lack of student progress, that's when parents would learn of it, is in an interim report at the midpoint of the quarter. And that concludes the current suggestions for change. As I said, this is a work in progress, but I just wanted to keep you updated on where the committee was at this time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to thank Dr. Schreckengoss and the committee's work and for getting the parents involved with the survey. Just continue to echo that sort of team approach to this and making sure we're getting input from stakeholders across not only just our staff, but families as well. I do want to say because this would be for next year, and so since we are going to go from that trimester to quarter, in case anybody was wondering, the last 2 years I think we've been presenting potential calendars for the next school year around this time. Because this impacts the school calendar, we're basically a month behind. We have some draft calendars made. Dr. Schreckengoss will be sharing those with the CAC and SSIC next week based on some input they've already given. And so we'll bring the potential school calendars for next year to the February meeting and then put that out for a vote, or not a vote, excuse me. Well, I guess a public survey for input from teachers and the community members, so then you all could vote on the school calendar in March. So if you all were wondering why we haven't brought a proposed calendar yet, or the public watching are wondering why they haven't seen a proposed calendar yet, it's because of the work of this committee. So.
Thank you.
Next up, Mr. Watkins for 8.05 FY26 budget update.
Dr. Kibler, executive team. For the record, my name is Rob Watkins, Chief Financial Officer interim here in Queen Anne's County. Today, I'm bringing forward to you an updated expense sheet for the fiscal year 26 budget. I'm happy to report that our spending looks good. We're spending down as we should this year, and all is well.
Sounds good. I have a question.
Sure.
When I look at the 89% of year-to-date, is there any concerns concerning where, like, We still have February, March, April, May, June.
No, we do some pretty intense analysis behind the scenes to make sure that we're looking at projected spendings for things that are not encumbered in our budget, to make sure that we have the money where it should be, to make sure that we are spending the way we should be, just to make sure we're having good health in our analysis. I just completed one at the end of December as we rolled into the new year, just to kind of double check really every single line in our budget to see where it sits. When you compare this one to the one that was posted at the December board meeting, you're actually going to see an increase to the available balance. And the reason for that is we attempted to encumber our pension expenses in our system, and through the process, we learned that our system doesn't really support that. So we basically had to back it back out, and we go back to a non-encumbered stance. But we know that when we look at our fixed charges, you look at the available balance in category 12, that a good chunk of that money is spoken for in pension expenses.
So line items 7, 8, and 9 are our heavy hitters, and I know that we may get one more out-of-county request.
7, 8, and 9.
Yeah. Are we going to be okay?
But you're thinking about the non-public. Yep, that's in category 6.
Right.
Yep, and
That's true.
yes.
Those are the 4, well, categories, yeah, those are the 4.
I've sat down with Ms. Smith, and we are fine right now.
Okay, just want to make sure, because they're all in the higher side of the 90s,
They sure are.
reaching that way.
Category 7, 8, and 9, those specific, especially 7 and 8, they're smaller number of expenses outside of encumbrances. So a large majority of the budgets in those categories are already encumbered.
Okay.
Whereas when you look at fixed charges, there's a large number of dollars in that category that are not encumbered.
Okay. Perfect.
Awesome.
There's no more questions on that. There's 2 sort of budget-related things I'd like to share with the board, if that's all right. The first is I want to just let the board know that we just recently, I think we heard at the end of, right before, or it was over break.
Yes.
When we got
Right as we walked out the door for
yeah,
Christmas
one of
break.
the 2. I don't. Those 3 couple weeks were a blur, right? But anyway, we had an audit on our COVID relief funds. So the roughly $6 million that the district received during COVID and after COVID, and the district spending. And I just want to congratulate the district as a whole. We had 0 findings of that $6 million spending over that time. That's everything, the curricular spending, the extra, like the tutoring and things, as well as the cleaning supplies and all of that stuff. So $6 million of those COVID relief funds, 0 findings. So I want to congratulate the district. I want to thank Mr. Watkins and his staff, specifically Ms. Chrissy Webster, for her work on that audit. It was brutal. I forget the number of emails and hours you told me that she spent working with the consultants there, but to come away with another financial audit for the district that's clean with no findings, that's something to be proud of for all of us.
She did a great job.
That's good. And then I also just wanted, since, again, this is the budget piece, we have our first budget work session in 2 weeks. Mr. Watkins and I are lockstep on this. We make sure that we're kind of attached at the hip, and while in a room we might not agree on everything, we make sure when we leave the room we agree on everything. And so the first budget work session we're proposing is going to just look a little different than if you looked at previous years. We are hopeful that at this first meeting we'll have the first draft of the state aid files from the state, but as you all know, we're at their mercy, although I think by law they were supposed to already give it to us. It comes at some point of January. There's been years, my time here, that we don't get it to the end of January. Sometimes it's mid-January. So we're hopeful we'll have that state aid file. But what I can tell you, the team has been working extremely hard. Thank you to our administrators and supervisors as well. We will be bringing at this first work session numbers for the board to know and the public to know of how our budget needs to change from 26 to 27 with the cost of doing business, the things we're doing, just the increases like salary, health insurance and things, as well as the proposals that I'm going to be making to the board for your consideration of any new spending next year. We will have that at our first work session, which is at least 3 weeks earlier than it has been the past few years, if not a month. I'm really proud of that. I thank Mr. Watkins for that, and that's something that we committed to each other, that we would be earlier, and I'm hopeful in future years that we can even get that sooner to you. I believe that the earlier we get that information out to you all as the board and the public, and the more we can talk about it, the better it is for all of us. It has felt rushed to me the past few years, and I'm hopeful that this will be a positive change going forward. So that's what you can expect on the 21st, and I hope we have the state aid file then, but I can't make a promise on that. We're at their mercy. Did I do that?
Yes, sir. Well done. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have citizen participation, if anybody wants to give public comment. Oh, Amanda.
I just wanted to give a little bit of feedback about the climate surveys. I do agree with what you were saying, and I appreciate you saying that those numbers are bad. As a parent, they're bad. I wasn't particularly impressed with them last year, and one of the concerns that remains for me as a parent moving from this year to last year, or last year to this year, is I wish that we could do better to engage more of our teachers to take these surveys, because as somebody who's studied surveys and looked through them, less than 60% of them responding to the surveys gives me concern about the accuracy of the metrics and the questions that are provided in those, and how they relate to how the overall picture is painted for those teachers. But with the student surveys, the question that was posed about the safety, and also for the high school students about the drugs, using alcohol, smoking on campuses. Those are some of the things that I was talking about earlier that are concerns for me as a parent. And it seems like 7 on those means really too many students feel those things are okay, or that they think other students are okay doing them. So what I think I would like to see is that there is a stigma for mental health, and especially for teenagers, peer pressure, bullying, and seeing things like that. Is there somewhere they can go to get resources that isn't directly in the school, where other students are going to see them asking, other students are going to see them seeking this support, which may make them a bigger target for these issues, and encourage the use of these drugs and stimulants and depressants that we may take to help how we're feeling emotionally and mentally without being better prepared for it? And is there something we can provide as a resource in this building where they can go find information on other websites and clinics and things like this, where they can look for those options and services for themselves? So, that's it.
Thank you. Next up, we have board attendance for the commissioner liaison and the SSIC and CAC meetings. I could do the commissioner meeting.
What is the date of the commissioner
They
meeting?
fall the same week this month, so it's next Tuesday and Wednesday.
The 12th, right?
13th and
13th. Okay.
13th is the commissioners, 14th is the,
And what time is the commissioners on the 13th?
It's 4:30.
30.
Ms. Dennis, did they tell us 4 or 4:30 this time?
I haven't heard anything that it's a different time, so I would assume that it would be 4:30. I haven't heard 4.
It'll be
Okay.
either 4 or 4:30.
So unfortunately, I can't do the SSIC or CAC this month. I'll be out of town. So somebody else will have to take on that.
I cannot do the 14th. So the 14th and the 13th.
Yeah, I can do the liaison.
That's on the 14th.
On the
13th.
I can do.
Oh,
the
sorry,
lia-
gotcha.
Somebody else is doing liaison, I can do that as well. I just fly out on 14th.
That just time is a very hard time for me.
14th is 4:15 and 6 o'clock.
At this moment, I can't do either dates, but I certainly, given enough time, could try and figure something out if we don't have coverage. I just,
We also have Carrie to
This is
find
true.
out from whether
Okay.
she can attend. So I can probably do the 6 o'clock on the 14th.
I might be able to do the CAC. I might be a few minutes late, but I think I can swing that.
I'll run Tuesday liaison, but I can't yet. Perfect, got it.
Fabulous.
I believe the liaison meeting will be back at their house
There were special visitors here last time.
When you said back at their house, I was like, wait, it was here last time,
Right.
at our house.
For future meetings, our next board meeting for our budget work session will be January 21st at 4:30. And then our next regular scheduled board meeting will be February 4th at 6 PM. And then can we get a motion to adjourn?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn open session at 7:34.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank
Fantastic.
you.
Did you guys, I looked over there.
Let me give